On this episode of A Soul's Quest podcast, Omar and I examine the importance of gratitude while on our quest. Stay tuned. So how are you?
I am grateful.
Grateful.
That we're here.
That's good.
That we're here. You know?
I like that.
You like
That's
that?
a great way to start this
That is a
episode.
great way to start.
The episode about gratitude.
Yeah, I'm grateful to be here. I'm actually very grateful to actually talk about this. I think it's going to help me a lot too.
Really?
Yeah, I think so. I think that I take a lot of things for granted. So I was talking to a friend today about how you try, focus, you get like ultra focused on things, right?
Mm-hmm.
But you miss out on so much when you just focus on things. And you have to be grateful for that. And this is one of the things that I personally have struggled with bringing more of that in my life. So I'm looking forward to actually discussing some of the things that I've learned and some of the things that you have to share too.
Yeah. It's funny because the episodes that we've been doing over the last couple of weeks have been purposeful in terms of they've been things like typically we've done episodes in the past where we're just like, what are people talking about? What do people want to know more about and whatever.
Correct.
But these have been more intimate in terms of we've been really experiencing these things.
Exactly.
And so I think gratitude plays a big role in everybody's life. And I think you're right. We take it for granted. So,
it is something that I think we take for granted, even situations, things that we've seen, good or ill. I think that sometimes we just take those things for granted.
Just people, everything,
people,
all kinds of stuff.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. So as usual, I want to start with a quote, and it is by Brene Brown. I love her. She doesn't know that I love her, but I do. I think she's great. Anyway, a good life happens when you stop and are grateful for the ordinary moments that so many of us just steamroll over to try to find those extraordinary moments.
Yeah.
And that's the biggest part. That's the biggest issue with gratitude.
To touch on this moment, like, because you talked about those ordinary moments, right? So I was doing something today, and I was just in my car, right? I went to a store. I was coming out, and out of the blues, this hawk comes by with a lizard on his talons.
That is so funny that you're telling me the story because somebody else told me a similar story, a hawk carrying something okay, go ahead.
Yeah.
Sorry.
And
I feel like I'm having deja vu right now.
Yeah. And the thing is that it's like, it feels like, oh, whatever. But I love like little moments like that.
You get a lot of moments like that too.
Yeah. I get a lot of moments like that.
Does it make you pause?
It does make me stop. It's like, wow, that's pretty cool. Because it's like how often do you really pay attention? Like in our haste of life, something as primal as a bird catching prey and eating, that do we ever get to see that? Yeah. Right. And I'm fortunate that I see it often. Like I see a lot of animal things on the.
You have an affinity with animals in general.
Yes,
you'll see stuff on the side of the road when we're driving, and I'm like, I missed it. I didn't see it.
And it's like I don't know why that is, but it's pretty cool to see those things like that. But it's just you're right. It's like we're always looking for the home run.
Yeah.
That we miss out the importance of those little bunts. Wow, you like my baseball references right there?
I do like that, especially in baseball season.
Exactly. So it's like, so you miss those little things because you're seeking and wanting those big fireworks in the stuff. Yeah. So that's pretty cool. That's a pretty powerful quote.
It's funny that, and I have another short one that's kind of similar, but, and that one is that I'll wait. Let me start with this. Okay. When I was doing the research for this episode, obviously I try to take what you and I have experienced and try to incorporate that into when I do my research. And so I look for articles that are like peer-reviewed articles that are really, they substantiate what we're talking about, so there's like evidence-based stuff, you have to have that. But I also look at stuff like what other people are saying in blogs and things like that and whatever. And it's funny that the theme that kept reappearing as I was doing the research is that there is no, without gratitude, there is no joy.
Mm-hmm.
And so that they're interconnected big time.
Mm.
And so what that means is that, like you said, we're always looking for those extraordinary moments, and those are what we depend on. And those are the moments when we feel gratitude.
Exactly, yeah.
You know what I mean?
Because our prayers or our wishes have been answered, right?
Yeah, exactly. And so I found that to be interesting. And then, of course, Brene Brown, again, she says there is no joy without gratitude.
Yeah.
And so when I think about it in my own personal life, I'm guilty of doing that, because there have been so many small things that have happened for us over the last just even few months that I haven't been really, I haven't expressed gratitude, whether it was inward or outward. I haven't expressed gratitude for it. And I've been more self-aware of that in my relationships and the things that I'm doing, and even in my own time by myself. Like, if I get an opportunity to take a bath, you know, we got this nice bathtub that, you know, we remodeled our bathroom, and you pick this beautiful tub, and I don't ever really use it. And I was like, you know what? I'm not taking a shower today. I'm going to take a bath. And it was like, I'm so grateful for this bathtub, because it felt really good. You know, it's like super silly, but it was a moment. It wasn't like I was on this like serious high, but it was a moment of, I like this. Yeah. This is, because there is a difference between joy and happiness, right?
Yeah, it is. I mean, like, happiness is fleeting.
Very.
Right. It's just like one of those primal emotions of like happiness and fear and anger. It's like those are fleeting emotions, you know, because you can never be in a constant state of happiness.
Right.
Right. Because that's kind of like an impossibility.
But you can be in a constant state of joy.
Oh, joy. Yeah. And you know what? A lot of the times, and this is, as I'm gotten older, I guess this is kind of like the things are beginning to settle more. I'm in my midlife somewhat. So things are more settled and things are more clear, right? Because we understand the world in terms of concepts, right? And sometimes concepts get a little bit too technical, and there's a lot of nuances, and then it's like words to define things and this and that and the other, right? So like I always struggle with concepts and ideas like happiness and gratitude and joy, right? Like personally, because like really trying to grasp it and logically understand like what is it, right? And what is the feelings that are associated with it, right? So in the last
so you're like on the existential side of this.
No, it's really, I wouldn't say that. I would say more to the there's a part in which you conceptually understand something, right? Mm-hmm. And then there is a part in which it's really ingrained in you. So that's when like the marriage of your heart and when the soul is in synchronicity, right?
Okay.
Because it both aligned.
So in synergy.
So in synergy. So like I understand the concept psychologically, but I mentally, right? Intellectually, I get it. Sometimes I just don't feel it. You know, because you know, I'm so focused on trying to get somewhere, you know.
So you're doing the thing that you were talking about when you see the hawk.
Exactly.
You're just in a focused
yeah, because
pit.
it's like you're focused, and then it's like, and there's moments that kind of like put you back in it. But a lot of the times, because in my situation, you know, I want to get to a certain place in which I feel that I'm going to be much better off or whatever. And yet, because of that ultimate vision, right, the process of it gets lost along the way, right? And it's funny, right? Because I do this thing on a weekly basis, right? And it's just whatever, it's just my thing. I pick like a card from the tarot cards, right? Like the 20 arcana thing. And they all have different, I talked about there being archetypes, and they have a certain meaning and stuff. So this week I picked the Fool's card, right? And one of the Fool's card, really, it's about embarking in this journey free by letting go, by having fun and enjoying the journey, right? And I felt it like it was a powerful realization And again, whether you believe it or not, it's irrelevant. It's like, but to me, it spoke to me because I know that in my haste or in my my focus of wanting to achieve certain things, I forget that the journey really is about letting go, having fun,
Embracing it.
the
Difficulties,
the challenges,
the good things.
the all that stuff.
And that right there is
Yeah.
joy.
Exactly. Right. And then but it's a hard thing to accept because we are so bombarded with that we need those fireworks and we need all this extra stuff
Do you
in order
think
to do that, in order to achieve that place,
Right.
Yeah.
Do you think that has a little bit of significance? I read an article about, I didn't read the whole article, but I read an article about social media being problematic when it comes to finding or maintaining joy.
I will say,
do you think so?
I will say culture, it's problematic in finding joy because culture and society is always against the individual.
Okay.
Right?
Yeah.
This is a kind of like an interesting thing because it truly, really is. Because if you look at our society needs to keep moving, both from an economic standpoint, from a society, from all these different social standpoint. So it needs to move and perpetuate, right? And sometimes that movement and that societal progress goes against the individual's desires and wants, right?
It goes against what they want.
Goes against it.
What they want innately.
What they want innately.
Or because not what they think they want.
Exactly.
Or what people want them to have.
Exactly. And then you always are going to have always a give and take and a conflict between the two. And sometimes, and it's a pendulum and it swings back and forth, right? Because society is important and culture is important. But sometimes when culture becomes too tightening, right? For instance, a part of our culture is sharing everything now. You share it to social media. As a result of that, we have become somewhat bound by our perceptions of who we are in relation to somebody else. We're beginning to judge ourselves in relation to people in whatever they choose to portray in social media, right? So it's only natural that we begin to when we feed our minds that constant perception of perfection and this and that, or what my life should be, and then I'm not quite there, then that's like activating the sympathetic nervous system, the fight or flight.
Yeah.
So we become anxious, and then we fail to realize to have the gratitude that we live in one of the freest societies in the world, right? That ever existed in the history.
Yeah.
Most of us don't really have to deal with insecurity, both from a physical standpoint, even an emotional standpoint, on a consistent basis in comparison to generations of the past, right? Like we don't have as many of those issues as we have, but because we live in the vacuum of a constant bombardment of information, right, and ideals, we forget the importance of it. And then also you get that mentality, the very American mentality. It's like if you pause for a moment and you are thankful about what you got, then you're not working hard enough. You got to keep striving. It's
never enough.
Yeah. So it's like you got the combinations, and those are cultural things that we have to be mindful of. And again, I'm speaking to myself because I get caught up in that. I get caught up. It's like, oh my God. I want to make sure that I retired. Oh my God. I want to have $1 million in my bank account so that I'm financially set and secure. It's like, oh my God, I need to have this, and that. Oh my God. And then we get caught up because we are constantly fed this constant, oh, you don't have this. Oh, you don't have that. The lack.
Yeah.
And then we seldom are grateful for the things that we do have.
Yeah.
Negative emotions are very powerful.
Oh yeah, definitely.
And something like being thankful seems silly. Like, I know there's a lot of people that are not much into religion, but just the idea of sitting down for a meal and saying thank you, right? That was has a powerful. It has a powerful thing,
Mm-hmm.
right? Because it's like, wow, it's like it's a powerful thing. You should say
Well,
the
and
fact that you're
that's
eating.
just bringing it down to a really simplistic level. I mean, if you think about it, yeah, we're nourishing our body with whatever it is that you're eating, whether it's nourishment or not.
Mm-hmm.
And, somebody had to cook the meal.
Correct.
Somebody had to go purchase the food.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? And somebody had to work to go purchase the food. You know what I mean?
Somebody had to grow it.
There's people that had to grow. Yeah, like thinking all the way down the line about how we take these things for granted.
Mm-hmm.
Where did this plate of food come from?
Mm-hmm.
How did it get here? How am I, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And it's the simple things like that we forget that, that brings me joy. Every time you bring a plate of food to me, I'm filled with so much gratitude. I had some of that leftover food today and it was delish. I thought about you 100%.
Yeah.
So, if you bring it down to sort of that individual perspective, when because we can only speak for ourselves, I think that obviously having gratitude and joy in your life, it has tons of benefits for us on our quest, right? But I think that what we need to do is really take a step back and acknowledge, okay, maybe I'm not as grateful as I should be. Yeah. I think that's it's not even part of our strategies or anything like that, but it's something that for me, when I think about it, I need to step back and take ownership for the fact that I'm not as grateful as I can be or I should be. And I should express that gratitude more frequently. You know what I mean?
You know what? And for me too, I will tell you I sometimes feel like, oh my God, I haven't achieved as much as I would like to in my life. I haven't done as much as I should have done and this and that and the other, blah, 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 blah. So we always have, that chatter happening in our mind, that negative self-talk and all that stuff, right? And you start thinking just from a simple standpoint, like, wow, I'm able to think about stuff.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Wow, I'm able to come home, to a place that feels like a home and not just like a house.
Right.
I'm able to be able to share my thoughts, share our ideas on a regular basis. Right? Yeah. Whether people listen to it or not, at least we are, we're doing that.
Right. We're doing something that brings us joy.
Exactly. You know what I mean? That we feel on purpose, that we feel like, all right, this is pretty cool. So you start looking at things like that and pausing, just taking a break and stepping back.
Look at that, reflect on it.
And reflect on it and then be able to kind of like, being able to see like the silver lining in things,
Yeah. That's, and like you said, we've already talked about this. It's difficult. It's really difficult. It's very challenging. So it's a mental awareness that has to come alive in each of us in order to kind of overcome this, if this is something that you want. And the only reason why we're talking about this, because a lot of people might listen to this and be like, okay, next what? Okay, what are you saying? The whole idea is that having gratitude in our lives has a lot of benefits. And we're kind of touching on one that I want to talk about, which was the mental and the physical well-being, because when you have more of a positive outlook on things, for example, what you just said, all those things, how often are you thinking about those things? You know what I mean? But when you pause to reflect, to think about what are all the things in my life that I have to be grateful for? I have a podcast studio. I have my own business. I have a job. I may not be crazy about my job, but I got a job and I can pay my bills and I don't have to ask for things from other people. Like just so many little things. It allows me to be able to spend time with family and friends and do things that I want to do. Almost every weekend, you and I go down to downtown Fort Pierce and we're having beers, like not everybody can do that, and I'm grateful for those moments, So it creates a different disposition for individuals when it gives you mental clarity, I think is what it is what I'm trying to say that is.
Yeah. And one of the things that I'm discovering as a benefit, right, of really being grateful and working on this, because again, it's a practice, like gratitude is a practice.
Definitely.
It's, it's not an arrival at a place, but it's a continuous, like, making sure it's like one of those atomic habits of being grateful for the things that you have and the opportunities that you have in your life, right? So one of the things that is helping me deal with, it's this concept of grit and resiliency, right? Because life is challenging, life is tough, life is hard.
Yeah.
There's a lot of unknowns. There are a lot of things that are thrown that are out of our control. There's a lot of there's a lot of insecurity when it comes to life, right?
A lot.
But just the practice of being able to be grateful for moments, and finding those moments throughout your day, gives you the resiliency and the grit to be able to get up the next day and keep moving.
Yeah, definitely.
To find those situations, the harsher situations, and looking for something positive or beautiful in that day. That kind of like, and again, when I read that book, Man's Search for Meaning, Viktor Frankl, just the idea of knowing, just not being empathetic, but just the compassion that I felt, because I'm never been in a situation like that, so the only idea that I have is just imagining it.
Yeah, and remind
the description.
Remind us of that, because
but it's like he was in a concentration camp with the Nazis, in which people every day there was an uncertainty at any moment whether or not you were either going to die or live.
Yeah,
and
that's serious.
And I think he mentions in the book the idea that most of the people that were survivors, that they did really well, with the ones that really had a positive outlook on things, and that were grateful for things, and finding, if you could find that, again, it's not a comparison. It's not a comparison in terms of, well, they went through this, why can't you go through that? It's not about that. It's about the idea that in the darkest of the human moments, in the darkest part of human moments, right? And that you could force yourself or challenge yourself to have a practice of gratitude, then eventually you'll be better off for it.
Yeah.
Even if at the end of that it's a peril.
Right.
Right.
Right. Well, can you imagine? Nothing after his experience could have measured up to that. So his resilience with everything else that happened in his life and his coping skills must have been like off the chart.
Yeah, and even after that, he mentioned that he struggled a lot after going through that experience. But you
have a different aspect.
But you do have a different point
outlook.
of view. You'd have a different outlook. You have a different way of looking at the world. And again, it's like it's the beautiful thing about what he did, that some other people didn't do, is that he came out with a much greater sense of compassion, right, and a much better way of helping others.
Yeah.
And instead of being angry and destroying.
Yeah.
So it almost is like as if like the gratitude is almost like a cleansing of your soul for all the negative things that happened.
That's an interesting way to put it.
Right? It's like it's
because you wouldn't think that at all.
No, you wouldn't.
But there's so many, just in this little bit right here, there's so many benefits to having or practicing, gratitude in your life.
And this is the thing, like, so gratitude, right? A byproduct of it is what you say, joy, right? And I remember listening to Alan Watts in one of his lectures, right? And he says that, have you ever known someone that's happy that goes out and kills people? It's like, you never hear of that. Because when you're living from a place of joy, when you're living from a place of gratitude, when you're living from that place, everything is lighter. There's no need to harm anybody. There's no need to go out there and by force or by sheer and take away from others.
That is a great point, because that is what's wrong with society today.
It is.
It's a big part of what's wrong.
I wouldn't say what's wrong. I would say that it's part of our human nature that we're becoming more and more aware of it. Because again, it's like, and I'm sorry to say this, but it's like, yes, it is. It's not that it's wrong. It's part of us as human, right? We're evolving, right? Like we are becoming more compassionate, more accepting, more understanding of our situations, and placing a yes, there's the equilibrium that is switching back and forth. But we are progressing slowly, but we're progressing, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know if there is a systemic way, and I don't believe that there will be a systemic way to create that sense of gratitude. That's what it boils down to the individuals.
Yeah.
That's what it boils down to. At the end of the day, that's the most important part.
Mm-hmm.
It's the person.
Mm-hmm.
It's the person making the effort, making the willingness to be in that state of gratitude and joy.
Mm-hmm.
Because no system is going to make that happen. No system will ever make that happen. No ideology that is imposed on masses will never make that happen. We've tried that. It doesn't work. So it is the individual making choices, making the clear choice day in, day out to be grateful, to be joyful.
Yeah.
Right.
And that, I don't know about you, but I find that to be infectious. Another benefit.
It is.
Because it also it creates more trust in relationships, and it increases those social bonds and whatnot. I mean, when I'm at work and somebody expresses their gratitude towards me, I feel that inside. I feel like, oh, you're welcome. That was no problem. As you know, I do cooking and I take it to work and I feed my coworkers. The fact that they're so grateful for that makes me feel good. And then I am expressing my gratitude for them, because without them, I probably would not make it at work.
I'm glad you brought that up, because this is the one thing that it is so powerful about the Maya Angelou quote. Nobody ever remembers what you said. They remember how you made them feel.
Yes.
Good or bad. Yeah. They'll remember that. And exponentially it goes.
Yeah.
Right?
Exactly.
And it's like,
you infect other people.
So you could be focused, right? Because I see this happen in different places of work, right? You could be focused and you could be, I'm outcome driven, but then most people think that the issue, some of the issues that you see right now is that people are searching for connection, for a sense of meaning and purpose. And this is what management and leadership is really all about.
Exactly.
It's about connecting people so that you could achieve an objective, right?
Yep.
And it's about that human connection.
Yeah.
It's not just yes, you want to get the outcomes, but the outcomes you achieve by having that human connectivity. Right?
I guarantee, just to piggyback off of what you're saying, if I was in a situation, all those people that I cook for at lunch and that I bring food for, and we do it for each other, it's not just me that does the cooking, we would all pull together to overcome whatever challenge is going on in that office, which is exactly what you're saying. Yeah. And I can guarantee, I can ask any of them for something and they would be there for me.
And again, it's like, and it's true. And I've sat with a lot of professionals, very educated people in different situations. And it's kind of disappointing. They're kind of like some of the most disappointing people to be around, to be honest with you, because
tell us
they're
like it is.
They're so smart. They're so smart. They have a method. They have the strategy. They have the mentality, but they have no heart. They have no heart, and it's so sad to see that, right? They're so sad to see that because they have the method. They have this. They have that. They have this. This is the part that's lacking.
Yep.
The heart.
Leadership 101.
Yeah. And well-meaning, well-intentioned.
Intentioned, yes.
Right? Well-intentioned, but no heart. And that's the part in which, like, how come this is not working? Oh my God, this is not working. We're not moving ahead. Why? Because you don't put the heart in it.
Yep. You gotta have both.
It was like you have to
gotta have both.
That synergy between the two. And in order for you to do that, you have to have that joy,
and gratitude,
and the gratitude within you to be able to exponentially put that out there.
Yeah, because again, it's infectious. If a leader is doing it, their people, their followers who are also leaders are going to feel the same thing, and then they're going to pay it forward. It's that exponential,
and it exponentially
aspect.
expands, And I've been reading a lot of books lately on the manifestation and the self-help and things along those lines, and it really boils down to that idea of gratitude and joy.
Yeah.
When you come from that state of mind, then you become more joyful, and then you begin to have more synergy, and things just begin to happen.
They
and
flow.
this is
You get into the flow.
you get into the flow of it all.
Yeah,
you know, you get into the flow
that's
of it all.
true, right?
I mean, I have some glimpses with it. I've been, consistently doing it, and I have some really cool glimpses of things. Like, I'm like, oh shit! It's like, I didn't see that coming.
Yeah,
and it was like really,
taken aback.
really, it was taken back. But I still have a lot of negative residue.
Yeah,
that I'm working on cleaning out.
Well, that's important to talk about, Omar, because the truth of the matter is that you're human and you're imperfect.
Yeah,
imperfect. Okay, and so the fact that you're sitting there and acknowledging that I got some negative stuff going on. I got negative. You're a human being. You know what I mean? Today you had a better day than you had yesterday.
Oh, yeah.
You know what I mean? Yesterday you were just you weren't feeling it.
Oh, no. Yesterday
So yesterday I felt like my role was to be supportive, listen to you, be supportive, not judge, not pass judgment, not to do any of this, to show you grace. Because that's what you specifically said that word. And I was like, yeah, you got to extend yourself a little bit of grace. That's hard to do.
Yeah.
But when you're treated kindly, it's easier to sort of manifest that and be like, listen, I know I'm not okay. But I think that, and I lost my train of thought, but basically what you're saying is that you're a human being. And so all of us have negative stuff, and we're not always going to be graceful or express gratitude or thankful or appreciative every single day. It's a practice.
It is.
And that's just the idea.
That's the key there.
But then that's what you're doing. So extend yourself some grace right now, sir, because that's what you're doing.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you.
So I'm just saying, I think it's important to acknowledge that because, we're doing this because we're imperfect people.
Of course.
Because I fall short. Big time.
And the idea is to be grateful from recognizing those pitfalls, to recognizing like I have a few friends, but I have some very good friends. I have some very, very good people in my life that tell me the truth.
Yeah.
That tell me the truth, that they feel open enough to tell me their struggles too, and we are able to listen to one another and take from one another and learn, and that's always, it's not the quantity, is the quality of it that kind of like really, really matters, and when you start looking at things like that, then you really begin to realize the beauty of life. Yeah. The beauty of your own individual quest. And the beautiful things is when you focus just primarily on the negative, right, it feels like it's been a waste, right? Yeah. But when you start looking at the fact, oh my God, oh wow, I could talk to someone, I could talk to pretty much anybody about anything, and have a connection with someone, a genuine connection, even if it's temporary. Yeah. And it just feels like, oh, that was pretty cool. Yeah. I find myself sometimes in the, just being out and about, and some person just starts talking to me, and we're just strike a conversation, and because I feel that even though there's like that a heaviness of things that I would like to do, there's a very lightness that I really cultivated, just to try to be a good person, or try to be someone that is approachable. Yeah. And try to be someone that is like that I've never felt like I was better than anybody in any particular sense, or above anybody. Right. But I'm grateful that those experiences have led me to now, even though they were tough and painful. Yeah. Like I'm thankful, because if it wasn't for those, the word trauma is kind of like whatever, but it's those traumatic experiences and those challenging experiences allow me to be and think and develop into the person that I am right now. Because without them, I wouldn't be me. Right. So I have to be thankful for it, because oh wow, I wouldn't be able to be like me if it wasn't for those traumatic experiences. Because
you didn't let those things define you.
No, they're not a definition. They're things that happen, and you learn from it.
But now you're expressing gratitude for those things happening in your life, and that's because,
a good thing. Again, I wouldn't be who I am. I wouldn't be striving to even become a better version of myself if it wasn't for those things.
Yeah. And we have to be able to acknowledge that, to be grateful for really, negative experiences and harsh realities and things that happen to us that we're just like, why is this happening?
Exactly.
And sort of just take it with flow and just try to not necessarily try to understand it, but just be appreciative of it. Even if you don't understand what it is, that the it'll be revealed eventually, and just be grateful for it. You know what I mean? And that's hard.
It is
hard to do.
It's challenging. I mean, that's it. We never said that your question was going to be like a walk in the park and all that stuff. I mean, it is
Not
a challenge.
at all.
I like the word rather than hard. I like it to be a challenge.
Yeah.
I like it to be a challenge of realizing things and discovering things and evolving.
Yeah, definitely.
Trial and error. I think that's the approach. And I think that when you are beginning to have gratitude for the experiences as you go through life, your life becomes more in
alignment.
More full, more vibrant.
Okay. No,
And
that's a
then
good word. Vibrant.
when you aligned your experiences and the things that you with your aspirations and things based on what you like, I think that life takes a new zest.
Yeah, I agree.
And I'm beginning to feel that in certain aspects of my life. Now it's like, okay, how do I translate that to all the aspects of my life?
Yeah.
And I think that's what we are doing together.
Yeah.
Yep.
Are you expressing gratitude for me?
I am expressing gratitude for you.
Same.
Yeah.
Okay, so we talked about gratitude on this episode, which is awesome, and the importance of it in our quest. And of course, as usual, we have strategies to help individuals cultivate gratitude in their own lives.
Yeah.
So we have 5 strategies. So number 1, keep a gratitude journal. Oh my gosh, this is the best. Dedicate a few minutes every day to write down 3 things that you're grateful for. They can be big or small, ranging from the people in your life to simple pleasures or accomplishments. Reflecting on these positive aspects regularly can help shift your focus toward gratitude.
Yeah. And I would say, that some people might find that just silly. I will ask them to force yourself to do it. I force myself to look for those things on a regular basis because, again, it's a practice.
You got to dig deep.
It's a practice.
Yeah.
You gotta practice it. Like it's a new habit.
Yeah, definitely.
All right. Practice mindful appreciation. Engage in mindful moments throughout your day to appreciate the present moment and the world around you, like that bird hunting, right?
Yeah.
Whether it's savoring the taste of your food, noticing the beauty of nature, which I love when I'm driving, seeing the green of the trees, the blue and the white of the sky. I find that picture just so vivid and vibrant and beautiful. Whether it's savoring the taste of food, noticing the beauty of nature, or acknowledging acts of kindness, being fully present and appreciative can enhance your gratitude.
That's right. Number 3, express thankfulness, express gratitude, right? Take the time to express your gratitude to others. It could be a sincere thank you note, a phone call, or a face-to-face conversation. Showing appreciation not only strengthens your relationships, but also helps you acknowledge and value the positive impact others have on your life.
Shift perspective in challenging times. In difficult situations, consciously reframe your perspective by seeking the silver lining or lesson learned. While it may not always be easy, training yourself to find gratitude even in adversity can promote resilience and personal growth.
Yeah, we talked a lot about that today.
Like reading Man's Search for Meaning by Viktor Frankl.
There you go. Good. And finally, engage in acts of service. So giving back to others can foster gratitude within yourself. Volunteer your time, donate to a cause you care about, or help someone in need. Actively participating in acts of service allows you to recognize your blessings while making a positive difference in the lives of others. Hence, my cooking for my coworkers.
Hence, my eating of your food.
We hope you enjoyed this episode. Comment below with your thoughts and additional ideas, and remember to stay connected by sharing and subscribing.